Today we're going to discuss about the microdegree that is focused on digital product discovery and digital product strategy. And with me here at the Estonian Business School video studio, we have two faculty members who are here to describe what their plans are for this microdegree and what will they bring from their own experience to the program. So here, first of all, Anna-Liisa Reinson. Welcome, Anna-Liisa.
Hello, very nice to meet you.
And then Mart Kikas. Hello, Mart.
Hi.
So before we start with the description of the microdegree itself, can I ask you to briefly introduce yourself? Because you both have experience about managing the borderlines between business and technology and managing also digital products, either in a direct manner or slightly in a more portfolio approach to this. So Anna-Liisa, can we start with you? Can you tell about your background in the field of product management?
Yeah, I think I've been a product person on every single level possible and probably in every position possible so far. I started as a development manager back when a product was not a thing in Estonia, then moved into product ownership, then moved into product management and then product director. So I've experienced all of it, but I would consider myself a product manager and a builder first and foremost.
Okay, what kind of industries, what kind of companies?
I have been in telco. I've been also in insurance. I love these kind of old legacy industries where supposedly innovation is impossible, yet it is possible if you have product managers in your ranks. And also from the public sector, I've led products of the digital e-governance systems.
So all of these examples where this kind of scaling of a product is really important, but you can also start from the zero because there are many things that you can start from the scratch.
Yes, some things you can start from the scratch, but most of product management actually deals in the gray areas where you join as things have already happened and you have a product and now you need to make it relevant to how things are in the world now.
Okay, thank you. And Mart, what about your experience?
Yeah, I've always been a manager, never a product manager as such, but I have managed product managers quite a bit. Firstly, I was manager in my own companies. Then I was a manager in one multinational company. And then finally, 15 years ago, I started teaching. So I do mostly teaching today in business schools in Europe. And obviously at EBS as well as one of those business schools. And I teach typically business innovation management, business model innovation, such things. But these are all related to product management because they are kind of around the product. Because when we're talking about product management, really we're talking about managing all the aspects of it, including the business aspect.
Absolutely. So, and can I ask you first to reflect about the most important mistakes that companies or businesses or founders usually do when they start thinking about this? So, Mart, can you be the first one to reflect about your experience? What can be done better?
Yeah, a lot of different mistakes. Mm-hmm. But I think the biggest one really is that, there are steps. There's a product idea. There is product development and there is product launch to the market. Yeah, and I think the biggest challenge or problem or mistake lies in that companies and people in those companies, they jump from the product idea into product development. But in a way, why you develop product is not that you have passionate about it, that it's your hobby. Okay, it might be on a personal level, but on a company level, it's not a hobby. It needs to make business sense. That's the whole idea. The product needs to make business sense. And before you have validation that the product actually will make a business sense, before that, you shouldn't start with any development because development is always resources and quite a bit of resources. It's a kind of big thing. So, jumping from product idea into product development without validation, I think that's the biggest possible mistake.
Okay, absolutely. So we developed something that is probably not really required.
Requested, solving a problem, fulfilling a need, having kind of big enough market to support the business, So all those things, of course, yes.
All right, thank you. Anna-Liisa, what have been those challenges that you have met in terms of managing digital products?
I think that I agree with Mart. However, from a different angle, jumping from idea to building is, I guess, the biggest gamble of them all, because you don't know, if you haven't validated anything, what is going to be the outcome, or you haven't actually researched who it's for, whether these people that you are building for, the customers, actually need this thing. However, usually I find that this happens due to phenomena that is in product organizations called the HIPPO, the highest paid person's opinion. So when the highest paid person comes with their idea, then often enough project managers or even product managers jump into already building it. But the highest paid person might also be wrong, and often enough the truth lies somewhere in between. So when you have an idea, you do need to research this to see which angles of this or which parts of this are true, and what else it needs to be as a product in order to be successful. And the product manager there cannot be somebody who just kind of follows orders. They need to challenge these ideas, their own ideas, perhaps their manager's ideas, perhaps the ideas of the customers, to figure out what that solution is. Not faster horses, but rather a car.
Okay, so you're essentially describing that, well, what kind of skills does a product manager need to have, and also what kind of qualities, because you need to be based on data, you need to be somehow based on sort of like examples, but then you also need to have this kind of, well, self-confidence in order to say that, well, actually, and what is the reasoning. So can you, Anna-Liisa, describe who is the product manager when we are talking about, well, them now? So what is the product management market, so to say, when we're looking at job market, when we're looking at the salary levels? So, well, does it pay off to actually be a product management manager or become one?
It's a difficult question because the job market is quite odd. When you look at the listings, a lot of companies are looking for product managers. However, what I do is I always ask whether this role also has a strategic part of it, because sometimes project managers who are just responsible for the timing and the budget are hired under the term product manager. Product management always involves also strategy. So that said, and I know many product managers are now going to have critical thoughts about what I'm about to say. Product managers, to me, are mini CEOs of their business areas or their products. They need to be responsible for the business success as well as the technical success and the launch and everything out there. So when we talk about a role like this, where you have end-to-end responsibility and where you are truly held accountable, I would say that there is plenty of market for people like that. However, there are not enough people that are able to tackle these challenges. And I had a look at the last salary survey that we had, I think, end of last year. And I saw that junior product managers start from 3,000 euros. However, already mid-level ones with the ability to take on this challenge start from 4,000 or around that. So I think that it's safe to say that it does pay off. But it's a journey to get there.
Okay, so let's now link it immediately to our microdegree. So the microdegree title is Digital Product Discovery and Strategy. And in doing the discovery, well, discovery involves many things. We're discovering the product, but we're also discovering the product manager as a person. And coming to your first course, so Anna-Liisa, your first course is about digital product manager self-discovery.
Yes.
And you already touched upon the skills that the digital product manager needs to have. So what's the plan for the course? So what will the participants get when they enroll and they start going through this self-discovery process?
I think first and foremost, they will be probably very daunted by the task ahead, especially the ones starting the master's degree, not just the micro degree, about everything that they need to learn. However, I think that people don't realize that they bring a lot of experience from their previous career or previous life. So it's very important to have a good understanding of where your current strengths lie and where you have gaps. And even if you are a product manager already, depends on which area you work in or which business you're in, or which kinds of products you are responsible for, because you can't be good at everything. You are good at what you are currently practicing. So it's very important to realize where your skill gaps are. This self-assessment that we are going to go through with all of the people joining this micro degree, this started actually from real life. I realized I was a terrible manager because I had no idea what my product managers could do a year before our annual talk. So I needed to start mapping out how their professional development has been. So this has been worked out through years and years of actually people management. And what I realized was that product managers tend to have imposter syndrome constantly. And the only way to alleviate it is to constantly also give them feedback on what is actually okay in terms of professional skills and where our company is going and what my expectations as a manager are, and for them to also gain the tools to tell themselves that it's okay by mapping themselves against this skill and kind of self-assessment framework. So they can kind of fight this imposter syndrome. Realize.
So in other words, when they do the survey, they might realize that actually I'm pretty good.
I think they will still be self-critical because usually the people that gravitate toward product management want to be the best at everything. But they will realize that they have a lot of strengths they did not know about.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is not a random survey.
Yes.
This is based upon this competence model of a product manager, yes?
Yes, exactly. This is for product managers specifically, not just in general.
Okay. All right. So thank you. So let's come to Mart. So your course subject is essentially, well, product research, product market analysis, problem validation, and strategic positioning. So when somebody joins this program, so what will they gain as a result of this, well, course?
Short answer or long one, and of course short one here. they gain a lot, but of course first and foremost is validation.
Right.
As we discussed, the product idea by itself is not valuable. The business idea, which of course involves the product idea, is valuable, potentially valuable. And what they gain is this kind of overview about how to first get to a good product idea, how to validate it, how to validate a good business case or business idea around it. These are two different things, really. And what's very important is that they don't, of course, they learn about something, yes. But more importantly, they learn through something. They learn through frameworks, through methodologies, through tools, by using them. So they get skills. And of course, those skills are aligned with your competence model. They get skills that they lack or they have gaps in against that competence model. And that's what they get. They get better at being a product manager in the sense of having the competencies to be one.
Okay. Will they have something tangible also by the end of this, well, course? So
I'm not sure about tangible because it is digital product. So if we call digital tangible, then of course they will have something tangible. They will have at least working prototypes that they will pitch, they will show us there. And they have also an outline, the business case around it. They have described why should the company, the organization, build this product. Mm-hmm. So they have built a business case around it. They have mapped the opportunity as such, and they have been successful in defending it, because it doesn't stop at having something in your laptop or iPad or any in files. It stops, or actually kind of in a way starts, when you have been able to convince others to really put resources into it, develop it and launch. Then it kind of makes sense. And as the product manager typically is not the CEO, but a mini one, they need to convince those stakeholders and people with budgets and decision power to really put resources behind and make it happen. So this kind of, in a way, convincing skill or sales skill in that sense is also very important. So in a way, they kind of cover the whole journey from the idea to making some prototypes, to testing, validating, to kind of having a working prototype at least, and then really pitching, kind of selling it to the, let's call it the management board.
Okay, all right. So that's essentially what we are trying to achieve by the end of this, is that there is a validated business idea, at least in place, based on which we can actually start, well, developing the digital products which will work and hopefully deliver value to the users and customers where there is a business.
Yeah, absolutely. But then before we talked about building products, and I said jumping from an idea to building product without validation is not a good idea. But then, of course, during that validation, you build a lot, but you don't build a product. You build prototypes, mock-ups, you build MVPs, minimum viable products, but those are not minimal versions of your product. These are the tools to validate, tools to test your hypothesis. There is a lot of building in validation. That happens before the product building.
Okay. So by essentially trying to build these things and actually building them, we also get to know a little bit about the product, about ourselves, about the business, and as a result also, well, we are smarter in our future moves as well.
And you are more able to do stuff. It's not about being smart. Of course, you need to be smart, but it's about being able to do something.
Okay. All right. So let's look at also some of the tools that we are using. So there are some of these buzzwords like lean canvas or jobs to be done or different types of books that we are referring, so which have been considered to be really important by product managers nowadays, and well, either using some technology tools such as Atlassian products or Notion. So what's the value of working with this kind of tools during the program? So Anna-Liisa, can you elaborate on them? So what's the practical use of using them in the classroom setting?
I think that you asked about, or you mentioned getting a certain confidence or having a certain confidence. I think that's the goal that we have during this course, to give you the confidence by giving you all the tools. And when we talk about validation, it is not just about validation with the customer. It's also about the business case, whether it makes sense for the company. Because if building something costs a lot and it's not going to generate you any revenue or profit later, it might be very, very difficult for the stakeholders to say yes to it. And I think that part of product management is often missing in companies. This trying to answer why should we do all of this, or why should we build this product in the first place, to the management board or the venture capital investment people, or just to prove why. And now circling back to the tools that we are giving, this is one way of convincing yourself and your stakeholders why this is necessary. My personal favorite is jobs to be done, because it creates empathy for the end user, but also lets you understand which kind of tasks or which activities of the customer or the user need to change in order for this product to be successful, or what are we building essentially in this product. But also lean canvas I use every day, because without a business case, a product is, pointless, unless we're an NGO. Most companies are not. What else? I love prototyping now with vibe coding, because like Mart mentioned, it is not building a minimal viable product anymore. Before, the term was kind of diluted by many different forms of prototyping. Now we can take it as a prototype. Anyone can build their idea. They can get better understanding of the customers and the market by showing them already something tangible, and then having a validated business case, whether this product will fly once you launch. So it's about, oddly enough, building confidence for yourself. So when somebody comes with another idea, you already have numbers to tell them, well, I have this idea and I have validated this and this seems better, or let's validate the other, and you can compare. It's no longer one person's word against another, but rather business case against the business case. That's much better to talk about, no?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So now let's come to the shoes of these people who might be contemplating this microdegree for their career or for starting to build their products themselves. They might come from different backgrounds. So somebody might be a technical person, somebody might be a design person, somebody might be even a business person who is looking for the entry to tech world. So from your own experience, looking back, so are there some interesting stories that you can actually tell or share, well, which would make it easier for them to actually join this kind of journey? So whoever wants to start.
I was communications expert and project manager in an advertising agency. My decision to join the ranks of product managers came from the fact that I no longer wanted to advertise products that were very clearly not designed for the end customer and without the end customer in mind. I wanted better products, and my very naive idea was that if I built better products, then advertising and marketing would no longer be needed at all for them. It's not the case. However, I did discover that my background in marketing and advertising was a huge plus side, or it gave me such an advantage in product management. So like for me, it felt always like a glove that fits perfectly. So wherever you come from, I think you might find that your, again, previous experience will be invaluable in what you do.
I would think of startups, and specifically tech startups, those that are involved with IT and technology. And typically, they have had at the very beginning 2 founders. Tech founder who deals with technology and IT, essentially coding, and then the business guy. So, in a way, product development and business development. And more, then we have seen also kind of design founders joining. So there's a trio of 3 people with kind of different competencies, different skill sets, and they all kind of complement each other. And all those competencies are needed to develop this kind of IT startup, which is essentially is a digital product in the very early stages. There is no organization, no nothing more. So, and when we think of product manager in an established organization, in a way, this one person, not 3, but this one person needs to be the kind of, combination of the 3 different people, but kind of, in a way, 3 different competence areas. Tech competence, design competence, business competence. Not like perfect in everything. It is not possible, but at least minimum level in everything. So I think, in a way, this micro we are going to do will be kind of the place where the person comes, and typically they come from one domain, either design or the technology or the business, and then what they get 2 other domains, at least at the minimum level, to be able to be that person who is able, in front of the management board of the big company, kind of pitch validated business case for a feasibly built product and defend it kind of from all aspects, not from just one technical aspect or one business aspect, but all those aspects that this is a good idea to really build and launch. So I think that will be the case, that people come from like one angle or one domain, and at the end they will kind of represent 3 domains, at least at the minimum level.
Okay, thank you. And as a final question, so what would be your final call to action? Because it's going to be quite a big investment in terms of money and also time to spend your, energy in this kind of studies. So why not just use ChatGPT or any other language models to teach you the same kind of things, or watch YouTube videos, or simply go to one of the open universities where you can also get it for different, quite minuscule sum as a result. So what's the difference of learning these things in the classroom and with other students?
What I like most about this micro degree and the master's degree is that you can either take it as a master's degree like as a whole, or take it bit by bit by taking one micro degree at a time. I would have done it had I had the opportunity. I remember I wanted some sort of formal training, but the only thing available on the market was the Scrum product owner degree. And after 2 days of studying, I felt like I did get something, but not what I wanted. And I did spend literally a decade reading materials on the internet and watching YouTube videos and trying to understand what is the truth, or what is quality and what is not. Now with AI, it's even harder, because you ask ChatGPT, you will get the most medium of medium answers. And if you've never done this before, it's very difficult to understand what will actually, or what could work. So of course you can do this if you're willing to mix and match it together and like have some sort of roadmap for yourself. However, if you want a holistic idea of what product management is and want a good foundation, then this is where you get the whole picture, either step by step or all together, but it's curated and it's by industry professionals. It's not something where you have to doubt whether this is what works or not.
All right, thank you. And Mart, your final words. Why study this?
Absolutely many reasons, but maybe just 2. One is, as Anna-Liisa said, of course you can ask ChatGPT or any other LLM about something, but then where it leads you. Will it lead you to better competencies in those domains? So there is a difference between just kind of asking yourself questions and then designed specific study program, which has been designed to take you as you are and then starting building the competence step by step. Because typically you cannot kind of jump over things. You need to know something or be able to do something before you acquire the next step and the next step. So this is a journey, and this is a design journey that you get all the things that you need before developing the next step. So this is one big difference. And the other big difference is that this is not really, as I mentioned before, about more knowledge. You can get knowledge is free. But this is about skills development. You need skills, you need ability to do something. And that from ChatGPT, how you get the skills. You need to practice the skills. You need to go out of the building, validate with prototypes, ask questions, come back to the classroom, discuss with your peers, get feedback. That will never happen with ChatGPT. At least that not that level, need level, and especially the practice component. You need to practice to get more skilled.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mart. Thank you, Anna-Liisa. And we are waiting for everybody to join us at the Estonian Business School for the micro degree called Digital Product Discovery and Strategy, where in 9 weeks you will move from your existing, product idea to a fully blown and validated digital product strategy. And you have also managed to map your own competencies and see that, what kind of skills you would need to improve yourself as a digital product manager. So thank you, everybody, and hope to see you in the classroom.